Okay,
I'm really not, I hate wet feet.
so does anyone have questions from last time? Class is in session. Anyone have questions from last time?
No.
Since you took the whole week to review the material.
Of course.
And credits and some practice.
Mhm.
Okay, so no questions. Good, that means everyone knows everything. Okay. Today I want to go
Means we know
into,
nothing.
you have a question?
No.
Okay, I want to go into a new topic, making questions. Okay, because that's like the first step towards getting conversational, right? After questions, we'll learn the answers. First, we start with questions. So these are most of the question words. And you have a sheet from before that has a list of all the question words. They're listed on the sheet. So, do you guys have this sheet? I don't know if you.
I have to look
Yes.
at it, but I didn't bring it with me, I forgot.
Here you have it. I don't know if I have it.
I'll give it back to you when we're done.
I do have it. So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's just like English. Instead of what, you say ma. Instead of who, you say me. Instead of you start the question, you start it
Well,
with the
since
question.
with English we use
Huh?
Hebrew.
Yeah. Now, some things you can notice. So, for example, llama, why, has the word ma in it. You see that? Has the word ma in it. Ma means what? So you could say,
The
so
what?
this word right here, three-letter word, is why, llama. But and sometimes you might want to ask the question, for what? It actually is spelled exactly the same, but pronounced lemma. Like, what do you need that for? Right? For what do you need that? You'd say lemma. Okay. How is eich? Where is eifo? Eifo, notice this. It has the word po in it. Po means here. So it's almost like the answer is embedded in it. This kind of like is almost like a prefix. I don't want to say it's a prefix, but a lot of words in Hebrew that start with A really means like, it's like a question. It's questioning. So it kind of like makes sense. You notice these things like A for where. Now where means placement, right? Location. When you want to say to where or from where, there are different words. So to where, you say le'an. Some people say, maybe can you say le'efo? Can you say le'efo? To where? Yeah, but that doesn't sound good. It sounds wrong. Like it sounds like very, very low level. However, me'efo is very common. We do have another word, it's minayin. Minayin is a very high academic word, which is like the other side of the coin for le'an. It's like the corresponds to le'an, to where, minayin. But that's a high level. So people don't use that only in very academic or very official kind of settings. So typically people will say me'efo, from where. And then when is matai. So these are some questions. So now I put together.
From where would be like if you're asking someone where they're from?
Yeah.
And
So
would
very
it
simple.
imply like
Let's say-
originally or?
So you have your list of pronouns, right?
Mhm.
So pop quiz.
Okay.
You know how to say you. Okay. So ask me where I'm from.
Hold on. So we're from
So you start with the question word.
Ifo,
Me'efo.
Me'efo, Ani.
No,
That's
you're
where
asking
Where am I
am
from? Where am I from?
That's an existential crisis.
Ata.
Yeah. Me'efo ata. You ask somebody, and
Me'efo
people say
ata.
that all the time. That is a complete sentence
Okay.
in Hebrew. You're like, well, where's the word is? We went over this before. There is no is in the present tense. You just skip over it. It doesn't exist. It's where you. That's how you say it. Me'efo ata. You say to a girl, how would you ask Anissa where she's from? That's right, me'efo at. So now let's say, so ask her, where are you from? And then answer. Somebody answer. Ask her.
So we're asking a third party where they're from.
No, you're asking a second party, second person. You.
I'm asking her where she's from,
Yeah, go ahead.
but then that's still,
You ask her where she's from and you'll say where you're from.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Me, so it's me for ans.
Ah, yeah, good.
North Carolina.
Now let's turn that North Carolina into a complete
So
sentence.
Ani.
How would you say it? You say, start with I is Ani. So then you say Ani, me,
North Carolina.
place, right? So,
If you do my North Carolina, you could like throw.
Oh my
pretty-
God. It'd be so bad. Hebrew
Anima,
is so accent.
Anima, North
Like,
Carolina.
What language is this?
No, I'll never forget it though. Thank you for giving me
Speak
that.
Southern.
Anima, North Carolina.
yeah. Okay, so,
Are you recording? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh, no.
it's okay. It's okay. It's all good. It is what it is.
Hi YouTube.
Yeah. Alright. So let's take does anyone have any questions about these words?
Run through them one more time.
One more time. Ma.
Yeah.
What? Me. Who? It's like, if you ask me, Ani, that's a real exercise.
Who am I?
Who am I? I don't know. But if you say miata, it's someone that you don't know just walk into the room. You say to that guy, miata, who are you? If it's a girl, you say miat.
Is that nice or is that like rude?
No, it's like, it translates to who are you?
Is that like asking someone their name?
No.
Similar? No.
We'll get to that. We'll get to all those simple
So that
questions.
wouldn't be rude, like if someone walks in here, like in English, that would
It
be
is
rude.
rude. It depends on your intonation also,
Okay.
because if it's somebody that you do know and they pissed you off, you can tell them who the do you think you are is like miata. It's just in a different intonation.
Oh.
Who do you think you are? You know.
So you gotta be
So yeah,
super
it's, a
careful.
lot of this is intonation though. But okay, lama means why. Kama, how much. This is very relevant when you go shopping. And then how. It's like how to do something, how something is done. It can also be like pretty much any time you say how, but not how much. You see, they're different words. How much is different. Okay. Yeah, and how much or how many. Also, this could be how many. There's no difference between how much or how many, because how much in English means like some quantity that you can't, not a discrete quantity, versus how many is a discrete quantity, right? Here we have just one word for any quantity. It just means quantity, how much. Efo, where. Me efo, from where. To where, we say leon, leon. And then when is matai. Okay. So we're gonna focus a lot on the ma today. Maybe a little bit on lehan and efo, the most common ones. So I'm gonna erase this now. Let's take a look at the sheet, and this will be kind of a review of last time, where you can see that
And pronounce, how again?
Eich. Eich. Yeah, eich. Okay. So here I'm giving you some examples, right? This is gonna like hopefully cement this in your mind. What we learned last time, the masculine, feminine, and then the plural masculine, plural feminine, right? So we saw how verbs
Ooh,
are conjugated in the what?
nothing?
In the present tense. And we said it's just like adjectives. It's or similar to adjectives, right? Similar endings. So let's take the root to think. And this is the first one here on the list, okay? We have, so take the first four you see will be all the same root. The root is chet, shin, vet, okay? Chashat, okay? Now, when we conjugate that, will be in the present tense. Now I'm gonna erase this question words. It's not question words anymore. It's just questions. So So how do I conjugate this in the present tense, masculine, right? I add the vav in the second, between the first and second word, letters, right? So I get this. Right? That's masculine. Oops, not plural, singular. And now, if I want to do, if it's feminine, it's going to have this same thing and then tav at the end. Okay? And that's pronounced choshevet. So you've got choshev and choshevet. Okay? So take a look at the first two sentences. What do you think? Oh, that it means to think. Lachshov, to think. So it means, so ma ata choshev. What do you think?
Oh.
All these questions are you.
Oh.
Okay, so take a look at it. What do you notice here in these four? Right? Ma ata choshev is masculine. For feminine, what do you say? Ma at choshevet. For plural, what do you say? Ma atem. Now we're using the masculine plural form of you. Atem. Choshvim. Choshvim. And then feminine plural. Ma aten choshvot. And you see the endings im for masculine plural and ot for feminine plural. Okay? So, does that make sense? Kind of a little bit of a review, but at the same time, it shows you that you've got ata choshev. That goes together. That will go together. And at choshevet goes together because of the gender. And then again, the plural and the gender for the plurals. So atem choshvim, atem choshvot. So to make it a question, just add the question word in the beginning. Right. So does that make sense? Any questions about that one?
So it's like, what do you think?
It's what do you think? So yeah, what do you think?
Singular.
Let's say we're,
Male, singular.
you know, we just walked into a museum and we're looking at a painting together. And I ask you, Ma choshevet, what do you think? And you say, I think it looks like shit. Ma ta choshev, what do you think? You know? Okay, let's jump on to the next one. So the next one is something we didn't get to last time. So this is the root. So this is a good one because we get to practice apho, which is where, right? Apho, ata, gar. Okay, so which is where you live. We ask somebody, where do you live? Apho ata gar, or for a girl, apho at gar. This word gar is the root. This is to live or to reside. So this does not mean live like I'm alive versus dead. It means like I live in this house. It's a different verb. So the root is like this. Okay? So it's a gimel, vav, resh. What happens is whenever you have the root that has a vav in the middle one is vav, in the present tense the vav disappears. It disappears. Okay? And so it becomes two letters only, not three. And then it becomes just like the very simple two-letter adjectives. So just like we had last time, I don't know if you remember, we went over a couple of them. Like maybe hot, okay? This is an adjective now, okay, hot. Hot is cham, right? And then let's do, is going masculine, masculine plural, feminine plural. Cham, chama, chamim, and chamot, right? Very simple. There's nothing going on here, it's very simple. It's just exactly the same two letters. You add hey for the feminine, im for the masculine plural, and od for the feminine plural.
Is
Now
this
we're
like temperature hot?
Yeah, temperature hot. Yeah. Now let's say now we want to do the verb. This is a verb. The verb is this verb, right? So it's gonna be, but remember that the middle letter disappears because it's a vav, so it disappears. So it's gonna be gar, gara, garim, garot. Exactly just like that. Okay? Now, knowing this, how would you read these 4 sentences? You can ask, in 4 different situations, where do you live? Right? So you got, Efo atagar, where do you live? Speaking to male, one guy. You're speaking to one girl, Efo atgar. Speaking to a group of people, including men. Efo atem garim. Speaking to only a group of women like you 3. I'm speaking to you 3. Efo atem garot. So those are 3 for that. Okay. Let's take a look at another one. Similar one. Okay, it's going to be a different root. This root is like this. I'm thinking about if I should do the cursive one or not cursive one, but it's like I don't even know how to do it not cursive. Doesn't it, like the final side? Yeah. It looks like this. Oops. What? Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
The Y one.
The Y one.
It keeps its antenna.
That's how it is in the script version.
Oh my god. Yeah, see, that's why. Why? Why so complicated?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's one of the hard ones, but you gotta get exposed to it now. Get exposed to it early, okay? Same thing, it has the vav in the middle, right? So that means that's gonna disappear. So take a look at the next sentence and can you translate, or this means to run. To run, this is the verb to run, okay? So can you translate this next sentence? Now remember, leon, you know what that means. Ata, you know what that means.
Yeah.
And then what's it gonna be for the ata form, for the masculine singular form? Rats, exactly. So it's a question, right? So what's the question? What's it saying?
Where are you running?
Yeah, where are you running? Like where are you running to? Right? It's le'an. So what if I say efo atarat? What does that mean? How is that even interpreted? What's the meaning of that if I say efo? No, it's not. Yeah, no. Efo. If I put efo, it means where, in which location are you running? Because versus where are you running to, right? If you see a guy running, he's running somewhere, right? He's trying to get somewhere. So that's a question of le'an. But if you ask efo is like where are you running right now? Like if you
Treadmill or in the park.
are you on the
yeah.
treadmill? Are you running around in the park? Are you that's so it's a different meaning. Okay. Another thing I want to just jump back into verbs real quick because I want to go over one thing I think we didn't get to last time. This is called the infinitive. Right? The infinitive is in English called the to form. Right? It's when you have the word to before the verb. So to run, to think, to live, to want, to do, etc. Right? How do you form the infinitive form of a verb? So you take, so it's different between these 2 types, right? So let's look at the simple one. The simple one is where you have the vav in the middle, right? So let's take an example of that. So let's say we had this one, okay? These 3 letters meant to live. So just like in English, you put 2 before it, so you put 2 in Hebrew, which is going to be lev, right? It becomes labur. Means, oops. tulip, right? Lagu. Alright, let's say another one. Let's say it's this one. Right? To run. Again, I'm just gonna add the to before it, right?
Mhm.
And it becomes, and you wanna take a guess? And you wanna take, it's the same pattern, you wanna take a guess? La roots. La roots. Okay, now, okay, let's try this one, to die. It's a fun one. Same thing. Mem, vav, tav, right? I'm gonna put the lamed before it, indicating to. And how would you pronounce that? Lamut. Good, lamut.
Why is, sorry, the vav is turning to an u?
Yeah, the vav
When
turns
the
into an u.
infinitive.
But the vav was always an u. Vav makes an u sound.
If it is the dot in the middle or the dot on top.
It's like this. No, it's this one.
Okay.
That's how it would be, like that. With the
Yeah.
dot. So it's always like that. So this was always an u. Okay? Yeah. So this is lamut. So let's take, where's our verbs list? We had like a bunch of them.
To understand, to understand.
Here, I found my list here. Okay. There's gonna be, okay. See the fourth one down in the left column. Gug, lagug. We saw that one. To move. Okay? Let's practice that one. Anyone wanna guess how to say to move? To
Where? Which page?
I think you have a different list.
Yeah, you have a different list.
Yeah, this list. From last time. No worries. I'm just gonna write it in. So next one, let's do next one. This one. Sorry. This one is a Zayin letter. That's how you write it in the script. So this is Zuz, right? So it becomes to move. How would you say that? Alright, look and find it later. Lazuz, lazuz. Right, very simple. Right, so we have lagur, lazuz. Okay, I'm just gonna start changing the roots. Right, it's gonna be tav, atet, I'm sorry. Atet and the sam, right? How would you read that one? Latus, latus means to fly, like to fly in an airplane, latus. Okay, lamut, we did already. Here's do another one. This one, how would you read that one? This is a kuf, this is a mem sofi.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, doesn't that look like a kuf? This one means to rise. Like you get up in the morning or you get up from your chair. Lakum, lakum. Let's see what else we have. And we have, okay, so these are pretty much most of them. So let's see, these are ones you haven't seen before, right? To fly, to get up. So let's say you want to talk about a guy is flying. He's flying, right? How would you conjugate this, latus, to the masculine singular form? How would you make it masculine singular?
Take out the vowel.
Yeah, you take out this, you take out this, and what you're just left with this. Tas.
Toss.
That's it. As do the same thing here. Masculine singular of lakum. How would you write that?
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying?
Yeah.
P. Okay.
No, of the verb, like ata, what? You get up. Ata kam. Ata kam. And it would just be like that. So it's very simple, right? Let's say now you want to talk to a female. or a valid female, you say, instead of tas, you add the hey, right? It becomes what? Tasa. And instead of come, to rise, it would be kama.
Oh, so the N changes to an N?
It changes if it's not the last letter, if it's last or not last. Is there like mass confusion?
No, did you talk about, cause it went from them to,
What?
it went from, yeah, the men to feet to the right, which is just
Yeah.
what's went back in there.
No, but about this,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there any question about how to conjugate it?
No.
Any question?
Lots of questions,
Go
but
ahead. No,
it's
no,
stuff that I'm gonna need to like revisit, I think, it's not
No,
like
but
an
go ahead, ask the
independent
questions
question.
because this is, back and forth here.
No, it's good,
This is
keep
why it's
going,
personal.
continue,
I have
it'll
a
sink in.
question about
Yeah,
K, the letter K.
Yeah, yeah.
When it's a P, when it's an F sound, and the rules of how.
okay, yeah, it's similar to the bet. It's like this, so you got the bet, right, and then you've got the vet, right, that's what you're used to seeing. Or you also have the pay. This is in script, because you know that the regular one looks more like that or something, whatever.
Right.
We're gonna write it in script, so. And this one's pay, and then this one is the fay, but then there's also the fay, which is at the end, which in script looks like this. Okay, don't ask me
Oh,
why.
it's a half note.
Yeah, don't ask me why, but that's what it looks like at the end, okay? Yeah, I'm gonna write it the traditional way here, okay, the way you might be used to, okay, something like that, and then this one is like that, right? That's what you're used to. The pay and the fay, okay, so,
It literally turns upside down.
yeah. And then
Oh
there's,
my
and then,
God.
but here, I'm gonna throw in another letter here in the middle, this is the kaf, and this is the chaf, and then this is the chaf, Sophie, right? These three letters operate very similarly, because they change their sound based on whether they have the dagesh or not. Very simple, if it's the first letter, it will always have the dagesh. Okay, it will always have the dagesh.
Is that the dot?
Yeah, it will have this dot, meaning it's gonna be the BKP variety.
Okay.
If it's the last letter, it's always not gonna have the dot, it's always gonna be a V, A, and these are Sophie, so this is a chaf, and this is a fe. And these are only chaf and fe, because at the end it's always chaf and fe, it's never k or p at the end of a word. And then in the middle of a word, you don't really know, and it can also change sometimes, depending on how you conjugate it, and things like that. It can be part of the root, but it can also change when it's conjugated versus not, and like, when the root takes different forms, sometimes that affects the pronunciation of those letters. So does that answer your question? Or a little bit? Any questions? You had a lot of questions, I wanna hear all your questions.
No, it's okay, I need to revisit some of the things from last week that I
Okay,
did not do. over the
you just asked me real quick, I'll explain real quick.
No, it's okay, keep going, it'll
Okay.
sink in.
All right. Anyway, the point of this, what I'm trying to say here is the infinitive, right?
Mhm.
Infinitive always starts with let. It always starts with let because that is the two, right? That's the two. And the other question is, what do you do with the rest of the word, right? In the case of what some people call the two-letter roots, which not really two-letter root because it has a third letter. The third letter is the vav in the middle. That vav disappears, you're left with two letters, right? But you just take those three letters, right? And it's just gonna be whatever it is, right? The one letter, whatever. This letter is gonna be the vav, and it's gonna be this letter, right? Just like that. And then this is always gonna be an oo sound. So this is gonna be like la, whatever, oo, whatever, right? So it's gonna be like that pattern, right? So I can give you whatever two letters in here, you fill them in. You know, if it's like this, Lagur, it's gonna be lagur, right, to live. Or it's gonna be, lakum, right, to get up. This is supposed to be a ku. Okay, or it's gonna be lazuz, to move, right? Now, how do we conjugate them? Very simple. Just take the 2 letters of the root, and that's it, take out all the rest, because you don't need the 2 anymore. And the middle one disappears, so you're left with just the 2 letters. So the masculine form will be zaz, gar, kam, right? Then feminine form will just, you will add the hey, right? So you got zaza, gara, kama. Plural form, you add the im. You add the im, right? Zazim, garim, kamim. Feminine plural form, you add the ot. Zazot, garot, kamot. Right? Kinda, does that make sense at all, or is it way too fast? Is it too much?
So the infinitive forms on the lists that were previously provided don't seem to follow this consistently.
Yeah, let me see what you're talking about. What are you looking at? No, here, lagu. You see that? Lagu.
Some of them do, and then some
This
of
one-
them do not.
We're only talking about right now? Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
because these are all
You know, that's something-
infinitives.
I'm gonna jump into that in one
Okay.
second. I'm gonna explain to you
Because
why.
I'm looking at a lot of infinitives that
After I
are,
tell you
you're
this,
like, all of them
Yeah.
follow this simple
After I
rule.
tell you-
I'm like,
after
none
I
of
ex-
them
after I answer
follow
that
the
question,
simple rule.
all of you are gonna quit Hebrew class, all of you, after I answer that question. But bear with me as I finish up just this first section, so.
The first part where you lied to us.
Yeah, no, the first part where I ease you into it slowly. So that's the case of where you have a vav in the middle. That's a special case.
Okay.
Vav in the middle is a special case. What happens if it's not a vav in the middle? It's just a regular, whatever consonant letter, right? So we saw to think, right? We saw that one. So it was like this, right? It was like that. That was the root. Het, shin, bet, right? Or vet, whatever. It's at the end, right? So it would be like a V sound, okay? That means to think. Rather, it means think, right? Because it's not an infinitive, it's just the root. So how do we turn this into to think? Okay, Rena's here. I check, okay. To think, we add the to before it, so we start with the lead. We have lead. And we take the root, when we do this, we have to add the vav in this position, okay? So we end up with this. And this vav, it makes an O sound. Always, right? So it becomes lachshov. Now this can be la or le. It depends on what the following letter is. In this case, it's la, lachshov, right?
Why,
This-
what case would it be of last?
There's sometimes certain letters come together in different ways, you know, they're pronounced in certain ways, but it depends what the following letter is. So, and we get into that different lesson, it's like a different thing, but the main thing is, you know, you put the le before it. The le itself is a preposition, it means to, it's literally the same exact thing. But how do you conjugate the root? So when we had just the 3 letters with the vav being the second letter, that vav was just part of the root and we pronounced it as u and we just said it as is. In this case, we have the 3 letters of the root, right? But then in this position, we add a vav. This is an o sound, so lachshov. So let's do another one. Let's take a look at our verbs list. And we'll pick out another one. Oh, I don't have a verbs list. Oh, wait, I have it right here. Let's see. Here's another one. Okay, I'm going to take another one. And think of it like everything in Hebrew. Think of it like a template that you can just plug into. You're plugging the root into it. So if you picture in your mind this template, and you're like, lamed here, Vav here is a no sound, and the root is just plugs into it, right? So what happens if I change the root and I plug in with the new letters? How would you pronounce that?
So these are
Let's
for
say-
3-letter words?
Huh?
Is this for 3-letter?
Three-letter roots, yeah. Most of the roots of the verb roots are three-letter roots. Most of them. There's also such a thing as a four-letter root, but a four-letter root has very limited use, and we will get into that much later. Not much later, hopefully soon, but there's not that many of them, but it's really, the four-letter roots have a very specific pattern. Most of the words are going to be just like this, the three-letter roots, right? So there's going to be, so let's take another verb to close. Like I want to close the door, close the window, right? The root is like this. Okay, sagar, right? Samech, gimel, resh. So if I plug them in, how would that come out? Anyone want to try to read that? In this case, it's going to be lisgor, lisgor. It's going to be lisgor, lisgor. So there's no vowel here, right? There's a vowel here, which can be like le. This vowel may be like or e, right, in here. Here, there is no vowel. There's no vowel. And this one is always o. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, what do you want to do next? What can we do next? Let's do another one, like, let's start with a chet, so similar thing. If the first letter is a chet, you know it's going to be like we had lachshov, because it's going to be la, so it's going to be also. So how is this one going to be if I plug in this root? This is Zayin. Chet, Zayin, Resh. Chazal. How would you read this one?
No.
Lachzor. 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 Like we had lachshov. Lachshov, right? Same thing. That's the root. You see the pattern though, right?
And so in the future, is this the same thing as the infinitive then essentially?
This
But
is
with-
the infinitive.
Yeah, but then when you go to future tense, it's the same thing, but with Aleph?
The future tense, yes. The
Because
future
it looks like
tense,
the same pattern.
it is, you're right. Was for the future, in most cases, it's gonna be, you take off the, we're gonna get to this, but you take off the lamed, and you add a prefix for the future tense. So in the case of I, that's an example. They give you only one of the forms. Every one of the pronouns has its own form.
Okay. With
This
the,
is- But if I go back.
with the
me,
same prefix, or is it
no,
a
the
different
prefix would be
prefix?
the different. It's all good.
So Aleph is for me?
Huh?
So Aleph is for me? For the-
Aleph is for me, yeah.
Okay,
Me.
so I'm just gonna talk about myself then, and you were forgetting about everybody else.
Echshov, yeah, Echshov,
Okay.
Echzor, etc. Right, but that's a different thing, right? We'll get to that later. We're just getting to the infinitive right now. So that is exactly how you make the infinitive. Are there any questions?
All of the questions.
Yeah, go ahead, ask them, all of them. Feel comfortable to ask them, because the whole point of the class is to ask the question.
How do you know if it's a live, laugh, or leave?
Because of the letter that follows, you'll get to see those patterns. So in certain cases, there's certain sounds, like, okay, why don't we go through this whole list, and I'm gonna read to you exactly, we're gonna form the infinitives together. If you have this, not that one, this one, I'm on this list. You have that
You
one?
have that one?
Yeah, will you share with Anissa? You have one? So let's go through right now, go through. I'm gonna do the infinitive for every single one of the ones on this list, and you're gonna start to see this pattern, okay? We start on the right side, and we follow down the column, okay? Okay, to help, la azog. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
La azog. Now you know if the first one's an ayin, it's gonna be la. It's gonna be la azor.
Okay.
Then if that one's la azor, how do you say to stop?